here, Terry. How are you?
I like it. We've time traveled.
Where did we time travel to?
I don't know. To Sunday.
To Sunday? I was gonna I was gonna say, how about to 1972 when Johnny Cash released Sunday Morning coming coming down. You know what's hard to miss about this song in the Kris Kristofferson version? You said it was
Mm-hmm.
popularized by Kristofferson, is that right?
Yeah, well, he wrote it. Yeah.
Kristofferson wrote it or Johnny Cash wrote it?
Kristofferson wrote it. You know how he got Johnny Cash to do it?
No.
Hired a helicopter, landed the helicopter on
No.
Johnny Cash's property, and
No.
said, I want you to do this song.
And then what? He just did it, or then he was like, "Well, shoot! After the helicopter, how can I say no?"
That's correct.
That's understandable. I wouldn't say no either.
Yeah. Those 70s guys had a different thing.
But yeah, yeah. And this song comes up because you feel nostalgia for. Well, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You like the song, but you don't just like the song. You feel like the song transports you to a time and place, right?
100%. Yeah. So I grew up in church, and Sundays were very regimented around leisure and family. And so we would do church. My mom would make this big dinner. Family would come over. We'd spend the afternoon doing that, watching football. It was a thing. It was like this, it was its own thing in the week. And so as I got older and all of those traditions faded away, um, Sunday still had this nostalgic feeling based on the church, based on the family, but I wasn't doing it. And so the sentiment that Kris Kristofferson is expressing in that song is exactly that. And so there's the line at the end, because there's something in the Sunday that makes a body feel alone. That's the same sentiment. Maybe that's not what he meant by it, but that's the same sentiment that, or at least that resonated with me based on my experience growing up. The song is amazing.
I'm sorry. So the loneliness that you feel related to the song is the loneliness of remembering the Sundays of your youth,
Yeah, and
or you don't know.
it's not necessarily the loneliness. It's the fact that it was an association with probably the most influential period of time of my life
Childhood.
and childhood. Yeah. And that was Sunday. And then that was not Sunday. And it hasn't been for a long time. So now that there's less nostalgia with that feeling, but there's still nostalgia with that feeling, and the lyrics of that song resonate very much.
What about the rest of the song? I feel like what happened is a line of the song and the general feel of the song resonated with you. Can you tell me what the rest of the song is about?
Yeah, probably, it's a weekend and he'd been on a bender the night before, probably several nights before, and here is Sunday. In the Christian West, the respected day of rest, I guess, the day after. There are other religions too, but in the Christian West, Sunday is the day of leisure, the Sabbath, whatever. And he's juxtaposing his debauchery the days prior with the fact that that was the day it was supposed to be. And I think that's what he's ruminating about in the song.
I mean, he never mentions that Sunday is God's day or the day of church. I don't think he mentions church in the song.
No, but that's implied in the fact that it's a Sunday, because if Sunday were any other day for him, there'd be nothing in there. I think it. I mean, we all have our own interpretations. These things are art subjective. We all have our own interpretations, but I just envision that juxtaposition of just getting smashed on Saturday, and then,
Yeah. Well,
well,
there's a reference to God,
right. And there's
but
also a reference to the beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for dessert.
well, so you genuinely cannot tell. There are two different lines, one's repeated, that reference God, but in both cases, it's unclear if they are prayer like or curse like.
I'm
Uh,
wishing, Lord, that I was stoned.
yeah, I mean, is he actually talking about God? He wishes he was stoned, or is Lord just literally a space filler? in that line.
I think it's an alliteration. I think I'm on to his intent. I think his intent was the juxtaposition of his debauchery with Sunday supposed to be the Lord's day, and all these things that he sees a park. He saw a daddy with a laughing little girl in the park he was swinging. All of these things that are wholesome and family. All of those things, while not directly referencing the literal nature of what I referenced, church and family, for a lot of folks of, and Kris Kristofferson is not Southern. He may be Texan, but a lot of folks of Southern ilk, that is the reference. So very popular themes in country music.
Okay, so I get that you're nostalgic about the good things that are referred to in this song. However, these things have been referred to by the narrator, the singer of the song, as a thing that they don't have, right? Like the narrator is arguably at best they're clean, like drying out after Sunday night. That best case scenario, they're drying out. Most likely case scenario, the beer I had for breakfast and another one for dessert on Sunday morning. They're two beers deep and it's Sunday morning and they're walking down the sidewalk. Like this is, I don't think the bender's over. I think
Yeah.
this is continuing. I think there's hair of the dog to treat the Saturday night, Sunday morning hangover. And look, man, I'm trying to picture you as the narrator. I'm trying to picture any Sunday morning or Saturday morning or any morning for that matter where 5 a.m. Terry is like, oh my God, my head is pounding. I can't believe I did that last night.
Oh, that's happened. That happens on occasion. It just doesn't take quite as much for that to happen for me. Although mysteriously, like if I'm with friends or whatever, two glasses of wine can turn into four in a hurry.
Wait,
And
hold on though. So just taking this at its most literal, a Sunday morning hangover, you have your head feels like a jackhammer on the back of your eyelids, and you're outside walking down the street, two beers deep, wanting to be drunk again.
no,
There's
never,
no way.
never,
That's never happened to you.
no. In fact, it's the opposite. It's I'm never doing that again.
Right.
I'm not wishing I was stoned. I'm wishing I'd never made the decisions I made the night prior.
Well, Johnny Cash specifically, I don't know about Kris Kristofferson, but Johnny Cash explicitly is renowned for sort of like telling a tale of a character that he has either dreamed up or is a pastiche. Is that the correct pronunciation?
I think so. I'm
Pastich.
impressed.
Is that right?
No, let's go
a
with pastiche.
a a tapestry woven of different tales, threads of reality. What I'm saying here is he's making stuff up and telling stories.
Yeah,
So like all of his whole Folsom Prison, Quentin Prison, San Quentin Prison, those things are all well documented as being like it's showmanship and it's storytelling. It's not like Johnny Cash shot a man just to see him die. He wrote that shit in a song
yeah.
to
But
write a song about it, not because he shot a man.
I think he did Sunday morning coming down. Johnny Cash is from Arkansas, obviously. And a lot of those Southern Protestant Christian Sunday family, a lot of those themes were his themes. So I don't know that there's a literal interpretation of that song that he resonated with, although he was a known partier too. He cleaned up and changed, but I think in that time he was, well, maybe he had cleaned up by that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was beer he had for breakfast, and I'm not
Yeah,
sure that at that time, if you wanted to get radio play, that you could mention the substances.
yeah, that's correct. But see, that's the thing about Johnny Cash. Maybe we've talked about this before. Uh, Folsom Prison Blues and some of those songs, maybe in and of themselves, are nothing special. But like Nirvana, which nothing special about Nirvana's music. A lot of people were doing that kind of music, but it's the juxtaposition. I'm not going to use that word again. It's the time period in which the song came out set against all the other stuff that was popular at that time. So when Johnny Cash released Folsom Prison Blues, you remember what country music was then.
No, I
Popular
was
country.
not alive and didn't. I never bothered to go back and study country music of
Well,
that period.
We need John to come back on
He'll tell you. Yeah, he'll
school
tell you
you
in a
up.
hurry.
But it was all bebopy, you know. Everything's great, everything's golden. Um, that was the thing of the '50s, and then here's this dark, um, you know, just a guy bringing a different vibe to popular country music. So I think the sort of what he was breaking through was as much a factor of his breaking through as the music itself. And all of it was stark. Like it was one of those things that all came together at the right time.
Was Johnny Cash a musician that you discovered, or was he omnipresent?
Oh, he was omnipresent in my childhood. My dad loved Johnny Cash.
I
Loved Johnny Cash.
I had to discover Johnny Cash. This
Was
was
it
a
the movie?
no, man. I'm not that young. No, no. I had so my parents had a medium sized collection of vinyl, and there was no Johnny Cash on it in their collection. So the music I got was from the radio, from a handful of tapes. I started getting CDs when I was probably 10 or so. I got a couple like pop music CDs and a Discman at that point, or like a little shelf system. And but knowing about music came from the radio almost exclusively. Eventually, a little bit of MTV. But by the time I hit high school and had started to pick my own music, had a little bit of a collection of my own music by that point, started to have more of an interest in it. Um, the the path to Johnny Cash was through, I want to say it was the high school's library had a vinyl collection, and I found Johnny Cash in there. And the funniest part about this story is I found Live at San Quentin, which is the much less well known of
Yeah.
the prison live albums. So I listened to this one, and this was based on the way I found this was I was familiar with the name Johnny Cash, and I was like, hey, I'll listen to this and see how I feel about it. And I think if I had found a CD at the library of Johnny Cash, I might have skipped it. But because I was like, oh, hey, I'd found, my parents had Abbey Road and they had Sergeant Pepper, and I'd listened to those and liked them. I was like, okay, well, I've heard of this name, and I liked it when I'd heard the name of Beatles, but didn't really know anything about Octopus's Garden, and maybe like Come Together. So I found San Quentin, and I would like tell these grown-ups that I'd found this thing, and they're like, oh, that's cool. I did that. What is that? Is that the Folsom Prison one? And I was like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And that was how I had to find out that he had done two prison records, and that one of them was Folsom Prison, and that this was like a absolutely bog standard, everybody knows it album and song.
So which did you which of the two resonated with you more?
I mean, like the San Quentin album then was formative. Like I didn't listen to a lot of country. I hadn't listened to a lot of stuff on vinyl. I don't know for sure if I was at that point trying to copy vinyls onto tapes or mini discs, but it was a whole production to even have the record player in some way. So certainly as a formative discovery, like I don't know how much I even knew the smell of a vinyl jacket before that. So it was San Quentin's definitely pretty significant there. Musically, I like somewhere between I don't know, they sound about the same, and the song San Quentin is way worse than the song Folsom Prison, like way, way, way worse. But they're both, you listen to the album all the way through, and it's a rowdy prison live album, and there, to be honest, there hasn't really been anything quite like that since, even though there could have been, but like it's still pretty darn unique.
Well, you know who the most unique take on that genre doing a prison album has been since then, in my opinion, is Metallica. I don't think they did an album there, but they did a video. And I don't remember the song. I'm not a big Metallica fan. Like them okay, but they did a song. They did a video for a song in a prison, and
Gritty.
it had the feels. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what Metallica did that was novel at the time was Symphony in Metallica. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love the comparison between Johnny Cash went to a prison and put on a concert for inmates. Metallica went to the symphony.
Yeah.
This is what happened to iconic Men in Black certified badasses between 1968 and the year 2000. That's what happened. They
I
moved
for
from the prison to the symphony.
I forget who it was, but I love the comment about, I mean, it's sacrilegious kind of, but the comment about Kurt Cobain. I think it was a comedian that said, yeah, he did what he did because he knew he was a year or two away from a Christmas record.
That's sacrilegious just in the sense that it seems insensitive to self-harm, not necessarily
Yeah,
that
that's
it's
what I
mean to
mean.
Kurt Cobain.
Well, I that's what I mean. Like it's trivializing it's trivializing the thing, but it's funny.
Uh, uh, have the Foo Fighters put out a Christmas album yet?
No, but all don't get me started.
What year do you think Johnny Cash put out a Christmas album? Was it in his prime or was it in a
Oh,
lull?
so Johnny Cash had a string of dubious endeavors, but he also had he had some issues that he had to fund. So he was going for the check at a certain point in his career. The
What
whole
point do you think it was that he had name any year that you think Johnny Cash put out a Christmas album?
um I don't know that he did a Christmas album.
He does. There are at least two.
Then it's late 60s.
He put one out in 63.
Okay, early
He put
60s.
one out and in 1963 he was still either up and coming or riding high at that point because
Yeah.
Folsom Prison was 68.
Oh,
In 1977 when he
that
was
makes sense.
not doing
He was, yeah.
like not doing amazing
He was Fat
as a
Elvis.
showbiz brand. Yeah, the Johnny Cash and Family Christmas show was 1977. And then
Yeah.
by 1991, I can't tell if this is a compilation album or a dedicated Christmas album. But yeah, by 91 he was still heavy in the Christmas.
Yeah.
Some of these songs are good. Some of his Christmas songs are good. I heard the bells on Christmas Day. That's a good tune.
Yeah.
It was legit. Genuinely good song, I swear to God.
So who was your first acquired taste band?
Acquired taste band. Oh, maybe Primus.
Fair.
This is another. So I could literally talk for hours about ways that I came across music prior to Spotify, Pandora, and any other streaming service
Well,
because it's
let's have a
flipping
couple of them.
wild.
Let's have
so
a couple of them.
Primus. I was in eighth grade. Uh, it was my first year at a new school, having just moved, and there was a kid in my civics class, and he came in one day, and like he had a younger brother, but he was the kind of guy that seemed like he had an older brother, and I think he played guitar by that point already. So obviously, I'm like, this guy's musical taste must be impeccable. He comes in. This is some random day. We're just, hey, good morning. How are you? You need to go buy right now. Primus is Sailing the Seas of Cheese and listen to Southbound Pachyderm. And I was like, all right, that's weird, but let me find $12 and I'll go down to Sam Goody and we'll get Primus's Sailing the Seas of Cheese. So I did it. Like I just listened to it, the whole thing. I probably had less than 15 albums to my name by that point, but one of them was now Sailing the Seas of Cheese, which, you know, sounds like a Les Claypool album. Like it if you want to listen to Les Claypool, that's a pretty good one to pick.
Did
Maybe
you
not the
like it
best.
then? Did you like it in eighth grade?
See, this is the thing. Once you committed to 2 weeks of allowance on an album, yeah, you liked it because that's what you got.
Or did
You,
you like it because there was peer pressure to like it?
no, man. You if you spent your money on that album, you were committed. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what I had to do that for? I asked as a gift. I was younger than eighth grade, but I asked for it as a gift. Chumbawamba album, Tub Thumping.
Oh,
You know the song?
Um,
I get knocked down,
yeah,
but I was like, I love this song. Let me ask for that album.
and the
And
album was
it
horrible.
was probably the third album I owned ever. It's like probably No Doubt. Tragic Kingdom was one of the first, and the Presidents of the United States of America, self-titled, their first album was the other one.
I'm sorry, that's an underrated record.
Well, let me come back to those two because I really want to talk about Tub Thumping. I had no way of knowing that one future one hit wonder stadium anthem wasn't going to be a good album.
You
I
you didn't
realize
have the
saying this
experience.
now
Yeah.
sounds insane, but in the context of the Presidents of the United States of America, the album, which had two, three, it had at least two pretty big singles because it had
Yeah.
Peaches and Lump,
Yeah.
and then it had a couple of like sleeper college radio type singles because it
Yeah.
had "We're Not Going to Take It," which people liked. There's a couple other there was a couple other ones I can't think of now that were on there as well. And Tragic Kingdom was just like great the whole way through. Like, it was a put together band. It was a breakup album. The people that had broken up were still in the band. So there was a lot of emotional tension there. They weren't famous yet. Gwen Stefani hadn't become a pop starlet yet. It was like, and it was a big breakout thing, and it was packed with hit singles. And then all the B-sides were great too. So it was just a phenomenally good album. Presidents is criminally underrated. Some of the best 23 minutes you'll ever spend in your life listening to that thing
Yeah,
straight
man.
through. Yeah. And then Tub Thumping. Just what a colossal, epic mistake.
So did that start to form the prism for you on albums and like, ooh, I've got to do
No, I
I've
just
got to
kept listening to them straight through. I'd be like, I have to like this because if I don't like it, A, it was a waste of money. B, I must not like the band. And I think C was just, it was a waste of money. It was a very financial transaction oriented. Like, I was angry with myself that I bought an album I didn't like. And then so like my alternative was go find a place where you can get albums, which was the the like local library rented out CDs. So I got into Pearl Jam by renting Vitalogy on CD over and over and over and over and over again. I was just like check it out as many times as I could.
that
So
is
I never
my
bought it.
that is I don't care for Pearl Jam, but that is my favorite of the Pearl Jam records. I think
There's so much
quarter
good Pearl Jam.
oh, gotta disagree on that
Which
one.
parts don't you like?
Very flat and linear.
That's completely accurate.
Very flat and linear. Now Jeremy Irons did help them out as a drummer, and is it Ben Shepherd or is it Matt Cameron? Matt Cameron is the drummer that came from Soundgarden. He's pretty good too, but they're still just very linear and one dimensional.
What's a guitar player's name?
Stone Gossard, Jeff,
Jeff
Mike
Ament.
McCready.
Mike McCready is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I I could note for note sing so many of his solos that I also somehow simultaneously have forgot them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they're just etched in your brain.
Yeah, like they're there, but A, I don't care about them, and B, I forget them and then they pop up from my subconscious over and over again.
So it's weird because Pearl Jam obviously was one of a handful of bands in the 90s that came out. They all got lumped together. They were all radically different. I mean,
You're talking about like the Pacific Northwest grunge scene.
yeah, that whole time period. A lot of that was a great that was the last great time period musically for me where a whole bunch of new things comes out. I had
I honestly think you should try SoundCloud rappers, and then you'll get a whole new explosion of great, innovative new stuff. The only problem is SoundCloud rap is now 10 years out of date.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I
Yeah.
interrupted you for that stupid aside.
Well, all I was going to say is of those bands that came out at that time, Pearl Jam was my least favorite. They felt very inauthentic and like it was a it was AstroTurf. They were AstroTurf. They still feel AstroTurf to me in the sense that they're not Alice in Chains was authentic. Nirvana 100% authentic.
There's a
Uh
common thread there, man.
in what?
The number of surviving members.
Yeah.
Like Alice in Chains was very authentic for a
Yeah,
lot of bad reasons.
100%. But so that's a thing for me, though.
Their music is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
another act that hasn't really been uh, duplicated since. The
oh,
combination,
so many people tried though.
yeah, and it just totally missed the mark.
Yeah, they tried the voice and the mud, like the distortion, and they tried to copy. So many people tried to copy that. Yeah, so many people,
Yeah,
and
because
it didn't
you
work.
had a bunch of bands that were doing all at the same. It's the '90s, and then it peaked with Creed. Like that was the
Oh,
consummate, the pinnacle of vocals.
oh,
And you gotta blame, like, it clearly followed from Kurt Cobain, and like blend Kurt Cobain and Eddie Vedder together, and that gets you on the path towards at the,
I
can you take
see.
me higher?
I think Eddie Vedder was, or I think Kurt Cobain was in his own lane.
Singing wise,
Yeah, I think his. I don't think anybody. I think they tried to run out. There was this Australian trio. These guys were like 16 years old, but
Silverchair.
yeah, they tried to run out after Kurt did his thing, like a year after maybe. And although the record's not territ like it's
You're talking
not.
about Frog Stomp, the album,
I don't remember the name
the
of
one with
it.
Tomorrow on it.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
wait till tomorrow. That one.
that's the one.
We're gonna get a DCMA request now because I sung that so perfectly.
I it's not a terrible record, but it I knew instantly it was like they're trying to replicate, Nirvana with this, and it's not even close. Like it's not even
That
close.
one song is as compelling if you strip away the emotional impact of the lyrics. That song is musically as compelling to me as the best that Nirvana has to offer. But I also I trend towards pop music that sounds like pop music, and pop rock music that sounds like pop music. You got, like, I know that I brought up Primus earlier, but I want to clarify that I like pop music, not esoteric bass guitar driven weird underground stuff. Like, I like both, but clearly my taste trend towards pop. So Silverchair to me, as a, tight, polished, highly musical, but still like raw teenager energy, that stuff was, I like that more than like I would call it like mud and guts of Nirvana sound. But also I wasn't, you know, I didn't resonate with songs like Jeremy, the Pearl Jam song about the kid being picked on. Like the words didn't click with me, not because they were bad, but just because I wasn't listening to them. I was like listening for, a hook and a guitar and like a chorus and stuff like that. And so those are the pieces that I liked, and I thought Silverchair did a great job of that with the one song that was huge. And then, they're, by the way, they're the members of Silverchair. At least two of them are still just out there making music right now. I watched a documentary on them
Love
not
it.
long ago. It was like, this is what happens when you have an explosive success before you're 20. You have like a little bit of drug issues by the time you're 25. You have, inability to capture the success of the first record. The whole industry flips on its head. You're from Australia. It's like, how do you go be in music for the rest of your life? And I don't remember the exact details because it wasn't anything that you'd have come across, organically. But yeah, just still making music.
There's a rabbit hole there to go down that we don't
Yeah,
have time to
did
go
you ever
down.
listen to the Eddie Vedder Ukulele Songs album?
Get that out of here. See, I was going to say about.
Have you heard it?
I can't do it.
Were you aware that it existed?
You have to understand something.
You're a huge ukulele snob, and you'll only accept pure Hawaiian ukulele, none of this popular ukulele.
I understand that Eddie Vedder was 21 or 20 and did very light things that a 20 or 21-year-old would do and think that they're doing like these really grandiose intellectual things. I can't get past that with him. Like
Do you think maybe it's an issue that he's supremely unlikable?
I just think I think he is a savage, like every egomaniac on the, like a CEO, like a fighter, like think of the
Yeah,
person
he's the
that,
CEO of Pearl Jam.
yeah, of a quarterback, of, he's that same mentality. He's thirsty as hell. Okay, he's really really thirsty.
Can I give you a rundown of a couple other people? Tell me if they fit in that category for you.
Okay, let's do it.
Um, uh, Dave Grohl.
He's a little more authentic, but yeah, he's thirsty.
He's from the next town over from me.
I know. Yeah,
For
his
whatever
mom's a
that
his
matters.
mom's a teacher there, right?
She was. I don't know if she's now.
Was, yeah, yeah.
Um,
She's probably got a spread somewhere, not teaching.
Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, very thirsty.
Flea,
But but
also from the Red Hot Chili
there's
Peppers.
more authenticity in Grohl and Kiedis. There's more authenticity than there is with Eddie Vedder for me. Like they weren't trying to be like these, the whole save the world thing, and like they didn't have political positions
No,
at all.
they just had tube socks on their wieners.
Yeah, they were enjoying the moment.
Do you find Eddie Vedder insufferable?
I do.
Yeah. See,
I do.
that's a problem. A lot of people think his vocals don't sound like singing. Accurate. A lot of people think that their concerts are too self-important and long. Also true.
Yeah.
A lot of people find Eddie Vedder the man to be just a lot to take, being somewhat insufferable. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
They still put out good music,
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
like ukulele songs. You gotta check it out.
No.
Easily the best, easily the best contemporary ukulele album by a former Pacific Northwest frontman that
So
exists.
so close us out with this. We started talking about Sunday Morning Coming Down,
Yeah.
and the nostalgia that it evoked in me, the song, the lyrics,
Yep.
the whole song.
The whole song.
Is there a song equivalent that does the equivalent for you?
Oh, tons of them.
Well, one,
Oh man. Oh
like nostalgia that you feel.
wow. Maybe like Rocky Raccoon.
I love that song.
I mean,
That's an odd
it's like
choice.
the like I can't. It's a song that is going to connect with me and really resonate with me uh as
Oh,
like a
you
song
got
I'm
the
going to rock out to.
you got the Beatles from your parents, didn't you?
So the introduction to the Beatles was for my parents, but I took it a lot further than they did. I'm a much bigger Beatles fan than my parents were.
Okay.
They had two records, and then like I voraciously consumed the rest of the catalog on my own from wherever I could get it. But yeah, like Rocky Raccoon, because it was so if I take like Octopus's Garden is too much of a novelty song. Yellow Submarine is a little too novelty. But like take Sergeant Pepper. That song is great. And I like it really resonates with me as a song, as a production, as like shifting to shifting times in pop music, like all that stuff. But I kind of put it up on a pedestal where I'm so busy just being compelled to rock out to that song. I have a hard time getting it to, oh, this makes me feel a place, whereas Rocky Raccoon, like I can smell the basements where I was listening to this,
Love it.
it has to do with like I hadn't heard music that was, you know, essentially like a corny show tuney ballad in the middle of a rock album. I'm like, what? Where? How did this get squeezed in here? Because the crap I was listening to was 3 minute song, 3 minute song, 3 minute song, 3 minute song. And as much as the presidents of the United States of America, no doubt, were playing good 3 minute rock songs, they were still playing 3 minute rock songs to the point where like you went to school and the kids who bought the album Tragic Kingdom, they were like talking about how there's a 6 minute and 15-second song on the end of it. And they're like, whoa, look at this epic song. Like, never mind that stuff had been done years and years and years and years and years before. And then we were just unlucky enough to have 3 minute song, 3 minute song, 3 minute song jammed down our throats for, decades after that. So yeah,
Yeah.
Rocky Raccoon like takes me back to a place.
Rocky Raccoon's got a little it's got a little underbelly though. Yeah,
Oh
it's a
yeah,
corny
yeah.
little show tune, but there's something much more sinister
Oh, it's a sinister song. It's a
lurking under the
yeah.
horizon.
The Beatles wrote, especially John Lennon's stuff. A lot of it was, pretty and sing-songy on the surface and ultra dark underneath.
And that I love.
Like you want to get dark, listen to a 3-year-old who goes and listens to Maxwell's Silver Hammer and then goes and asks his relatives, "What's the Bang Bang Hammer Dead song?"
Yeah. 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 No,
That'll mess with your mind, man.
that's the duality of those things in general, in music, lyrics, just in life. I love those types of things.
Well, and this explains how you can have a narrator who isn't Terry narrating a Sunday morning coming down song that it deeply connects with you. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, for
Check
sure.
that one off, man. Next song.
Until next time.
Until next song, Terry. Talk to
Until
you
next
soon.
song. Have a good one.
You too.